Hello and welcome back to the channel. You join me on the biggest day of the year, the London Marathon, which I'm racing. Goal is sub 220. It's warm weather, it's been quite warm now, but it should be good fun. So currently just on my warm-up jog. Well, I'm walking now because this is a pretty big hill in Greenwich. But yeah, should be good fun. All right, we're back to running. Hill's shadowed out. Let's just get a good warm-up done before the big race. So currently got my pre-race playlist on. This is the playlist that works for me. I'm a big fan of Fitz and the Tantrum, so got two of those songs, OCD and 24. Also have Eye of the Tiger, can't beat that one for a warm-up. Wake Me Up by Avicii, and Run by One Republic. Solid 15 minutes or so. It's really just gets me ready to race. So going into this race has been a journey. It's been good fun. It's been the main goal for the year. Nearly had a massive mishap earlier this week. My right calf just went really tight when I woke up on Thursday morning. I had to just play it by ear and had to have a rest day on Friday. It was a bit too sore to run, and yesterday managed to do an easy run with my mum and it felt okay, so should be good to race, fingers crossed. But not what you want, a tiny little muscle issue before race day. But these things happen and just have to deal with it. But yeah, it's other than that, really been training like the marathon monk lifestyle. Lots of good food, lots of good sleep, and lots of miles, of course. And of course, big shout out to Topo Athletic for this amazing design of the Spectres. I'm really loving the shoes so far. I only got them at the expo on Friday. It might be my new favourite daily trainer. We will see. But yeah, I'll kind of talk more after the race now. We're at the race. So see you soon.
Who's in the lead? Can you see? You got him. Yeah, come on, Ellie! Come on, Ellie!
Hello and welcome back. It's now 3 days after the marathon. It's the Wednesday following the marathon on the Sunday. The legs are still a bit sore. Was planning to go for a little run today. Can do a little bit of a jog, but my quads are just seizing up and cramping up there. Still very sore, and I'm still struggling to really pop a squat onto the toilet, which has been an absolute nightmare these past couple of days. But yeah, the London Marathon. So let's talk about kind of how that race went, because things went well for a little bit, and then things went absolutely horrible and was absolutely a nightmare in other parts. So let's talk about how the marathon went. So after I left you, after I've done my sort of warm-up jog just before I got to kind of the start entry pen for the championship entry, I got changed into my racing kit, put things all in my bag. It's like, right, now I just need to go over the championship entry pen and get my stuff on the lorry and go to the toilet. Bob's your uncle, hey ho, we're all good, ready to start this marathon. And sadly, it wasn't just as straightforward as that. It was a nightmare. Most stressed I've ever been before a start, it's not for the reasons you might think. It's purely because I couldn't actually get over the championship entry pen. Like, come on, what was going on? So the women's elite race was starting like 10 minutes or so after, as soon as I got there. So they closed the actual place where you could cross the course, which was a shame. So I couldn't just get the most direct way, which would have been easy and quick. So instead, what they were doing is, had to go a long way around. But that place to go the long way around wasn't directed, and I had to ask like 5 different people like for directions. Like, how do I get there? How do I get there? How do I get there? And I was running around like a headless chicken, like darting around and just really trying to find my way there. And I heard on the announcement, oh, Laurie's closing in 5 minutes for the championship entry. And I'm like, no, I'm not even there yet. Wait. So I was just having to run around pretty quickly now. I run around like a headless Usain Bolt chicken, just to try and get to the championship entry pen. Luckily, I found a very helpful person who was able to give me pure, good directions over to the championship entry pen, and very clear. And luckily, I managed to make the championship entry pen just in time to drop off my stuff, because yeah, that would be a nightmare if I didn't have my stuff dropped off onto the lorry, because I had no way of finding like my folks after the race. So yeah, that was a little bit of a nightmare before the start of the race. But fortunately, I managed to make it to the championship entry pan in plenty of time to get the bag on. But the thing is, this was about 35 minutes out from the race at this point, or 40 minutes, I can't remember which. It barely had turned 9 o'clock yet. And the race started like 9:35, so it's a little bit early, I would say, for a bag drop. Just saying, but hey, we're all good. And it'd be nice to actually have that information on the brochure that the bag drop would close at this sort of a time. London Marathon, please do that next time. It'd be very helpful for us runners. And next thing, so luckily I was able to find a toilet and get over the line for the toilet, which was not as long as I thought it would be. Managed to get into the toilet before the start of the marathon, which is always a good thing. Getting that pre-race dump out of the way. There's nothing like needing a shit before the start of a marathon. That would have been a real shit show, quite literally. But yeah, we were all good. And I was then ready after the colon cleansing in the porta potty. And yeah, then I had to line up, ready to the start line. Saw all the elites coming past, so Kipchoge and all the other top British runners. So saw Alex Yeat, of course, and Phil Sessman, Mohammed, and Jake Smith. Actually saw Jake Smith. I actually had to go through the elite entry bit to get into the championship entry bit. So I managed to say a few of these good runners just doing a little bit of strides in their warm-up. But yeah, it was a fun experience just lining up in the start line, and tried to position myself more towards the front because I was going for a fast time. I knew that's where I kind of want to be. And yeah, gun goes off, and now we're on to racing the London Marathon. So the first 10k of the London Marathon is slightly downhill overall. Now this is pretty much all the way till you get to like Cutty Sark. It's quite fast. Honestly, looking back from watching like what the elites did, I could have been tempted to go off and try and catch up to the elite runners and try and get a new 10k PB. They went through just a little bit quicker than my 10k PB at the front runners, and it'd be nice to run with like next to Kipchoge, but that completely would have sabotaged my own marathon race. But yeah, instead, of course, I just stuck to what I thought my marathon effort was. And we're a little bit ahead of pace because of the slightly fast nature of the first 10k. I think I ended up running the first 10k in, I think it was like just right around 33 minutes or so, which was, going for that sub 220 pace. I was about maybe 20 seconds ahead, at least of schedule at this point, which isn't too bad. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I get to Cutty Sark and the crowds are amazing there. My mum said she was there. I couldn't hear her, which is odd because she's the loudest person you can say imaginable when she's cheering. She's literally like a lioness roaring. I really appreciate that, just having the support. But yeah, Kudisai was just overwhelming. It was crazy. And really the whole race itself, the crowds were really uplifting and, you know, going really, really, really just amazing. And really what made the London Marathon so special, more so than any other marathon in that regard. And in some cases, it was a little overwhelming, the crowd support. You can barely hear yourself think, and you have to zone out, but it can be really uplifting in a good way, parts. I'm getting attacked by flies now. They're after these juicy marathon legs, which have got a nice white tan on them after the race on Sunday. Now up to the 10k point, you know, I was making sure to get in plenty of fuel at this point because the pace will feel easy, body's going to feel good, and getting the fuel in earlier on is going to pay dividends later on because your body will absorb that and you'll have the energy available to use later in the race. To leave the fueling too late, that energy might not always reach your system. It takes about 15-20 minutes normally, at least, for the gels to really kick in and you feel the effects from them. So yeah, I mean, so much so I got so good at the fueling that I almost had too much of my fuel. I was using the Precision Fuel 90 gram gels. I took almost one of them by the time I got to about, I think it was 8.5 miles, so about I think it was somewhere between 40 to 50 minutes in the race. And that was a little bit too much because I also had a Morton gel before the start and my stomach was starting to cramp up a little bit. So just had to back off on the fueling for the next 10-15 minutes, but then until the cramp let off, I started to come down for stitch. But we were all good, we were fine. And I was feeling strong at this point and I felt like, yeah, I can hold this pace for a marathon, we're doing good. I was also making sure to stay hydrated enough because, oh, there's a plane overhead. Because obviously it's a hot day, it's very much a day like today where, you know, I'm feeling quite warm just walking in shorts and t-shirt. Where is that plane? Oh, she's there. I don't know if you can see that on camera. It's gone down behind the hedge. But yeah, you know, just making sure I was drinking plenty of water because it was a hot day. And sadly also as well, my club vest, which I had to wear for the championship race, it's quite a warm, thick vest, quite a thick material. So I knew that was not going to help me on a hot day. We haven't got the new premium vests in for the distance racing yet. So yeah, I was a little bit annoyed about that, but we were good. But drinking plenty of water just to stay hydrated. But that did lead to an issue later down the road, and we'll talk more about that in a sec. So as the race is now progressing, you know, after mile 10, you know, my stomach cramps started to settle down after having too much fuel on board. I was feeling good, and I get to Tower Bridge. That was a surreal experience. It felt like I was on a little bit of a runner's high, or just I kind of had this out of body experience running over Tower Bridge. It's like everything just went quiet around me, and just completely like zoned out. I just really tried to embrace the experience. But my group that I was working with started increasing the pace pretty much after that point. I was like, oh, I'm not going to get with them. I can see their pace quickening. I'm just going to back off here and stick to my pace. This is what I did, and you know, miles 13 to 15, I was on good. I was doing good. I was right now. I settled down into, I think, bang on to like 2:20 marathon pace, and my body was like, got to halfway and thinking, yeah, I can do this for another half marathon. But disaster started to strike at mile 15. At mile 15, I felt like I was starting to run out of fuel. Felt like something wasn't quite right. It's like, hang on, I shouldn't be running out of fuel here. And I'd also taken it between like mile 10 and 15, half of the other Precision Fuel 90 gram gel, and also a Morton gel too. So it's like, I shouldn't be running out of fuel here. I have like taken in like 160 grams of carbs at least at this point. But yeah, my body was just running out of fuel. So it was just really odd. And at miles 15 to 18, slowed down a little bit because I was starting to feel running out of fuel. But mile 18, things really took a turn for the worse. Mile 18, this was a turning point in the marathon for me. Up to this point, I was on for a PB and was doing good, doing strong. Mile 18, just felt like I had no energy left. I'd hit the wall. It was really quite brutal. Luckily, there was some Lucozade nearby, and I decided, right, I just need some Lucozade, get some sugars into the system, and decided to just take my kind of reserve gels, or get them at the ready, and get some water down me too. As soon as I reached for the Lucozade, drank a little bit, we then had a case of projectile vomiting all over the course. So if you were running the London Marathon on Sunday and you noticed vomit, not just in one place, but almost on a line at around mile 18, that was down to me. I was running, well, I actually just vomited whilst I was running. As soon as I took like a sip of the Lucozade, I just continued running, because I think I have a unique talent in that way, that I can continue to run and vomit at the same time. It's not pleasant, and I was trying my best not to get it on my fresh new or fresh clean shoes. I failed at that, by the way. But yeah, it was not nice, chucking your guts up. It also leaves me in another issue, that any of the fuel that I did really take up to that point now really wasn't going to be fully absorbed and digested and really reach my systems and my muscles. Not good. And this kind of continued on this projectile vomiting, or felt like the urge to vomit, from mile 18 to really 21. I was still able to run at this point, but my body was starting to shut down. At mile 21, that's when my body really shut down. I had to stop and just vomit everything else left in my gut. And I'd already taken on a little bit more fuel at this point. And yeah, my body was suffering. My body was shutting down. It's not good. It really was not good. And the last 5 miles of the race were a struggle. My body had just resorted to now, had to just walk, run, to get there to the finish line by any means necessary. There's no way I wasn't going to finish the race. I was so determined to finish the race. And yeah, I get to the finish, and well, the only bit I'd actually ran for more than half a mile and go was when I get to the finish line. But even still, like, my body was just screaming at me to just stop, because yeah, it was suffering. To get to finish, turns out I had a little bit of case of, first of all, I had heat stroke. Kind of expected on a hot day when I've gone too hard of an effort. But also, I was suffering from hyponatremia, and this is where you have too low of a blood salt concentration, so your electrolytes are too low in your blood. So specifically like sodium, potassium, and your other ions. And this has essentially, three dangerous effects with it. First and foremost, when you have low blood salt levels, this can also lead to cramping. I don't think I was kind of really getting cramping per se, because my quads cramped up, but that's more from muscle fatigue and soreness more than anything. They'd be knackered. But what had happened, the other thing that low blood salt levels can lead to is, first and foremost, you can't really absorb your food well, and that also includes gels. You can't absorb the blood sugar from them, which is probably what was happening to me kind of throughout the race. It felt like why the gels weren't kicking in as they should have. But of course, low blood salt levels can also lead to nausea and vomiting. Definitely symptoms I had throughout the last half of the race. So yeah, I had to spend time in the medical tent for half an hour, munching away on a packet of crisps and some jelly beans and taking some water just to try and get my body back to normal. And I felt a little bit better after that. But yeah, my body was not in a good place a little bit after the marathon. And yeah, I'm recovered now. Over my quads are telling me, you did an absolutely stupid thing on Sunday. Why did you have to put us through that? But they have to work it. And yeah, they've got to get used to it, because we've got more marathons to come in the future. Because I am so disappointed actually with, considering that I trained so hard for this race and put so much effort, so much time, energy into this to really run a fast time. I went for first half, bang on pace for sub 220, we're doing good in 69:20 or so, to then finish the race in 2:43. Huge positive split. But considering, all things considered, I was suffering from heat stroke and hyponatremia in the last part of the race, and was physically, my body was shutting down, probably on the verge of passing out, and still managed to finish. That I'm kind of very pleased that I managed to get to the finish line all in one piece, because the only way I wasn't getting there would have been if someone had to physically drag me off the course as I'd passed out. But yeah, I was proud of that. So, but yeah, the London Marathon was this year both my worst race I think I've ever ran, but also the hardest race I've ever ran. So yeah, I kind of really learned a lot about the London Marathon on Sunday. And I think there are some things that obviously I was a little bit disappointed about with the race, not just with how my race went, of course, but also the race itself. So the organisation of the start, yeah, that was horrible. I didn't need that stress. That actually would have helped me, or not helped me. That would have, get my words right now. That right there meant I went through my fuel stores a little bit sooner than kind of what I wanted. It didn't help me in terms of hitting the wall. But also number two, when I did the Yorkshire Marathon, they had electrolyte drink mixes on course, and that was on a cold, rainy, windy day. You didn't really need to drink as much on a day like that compared to on a day like today or on Sunday where it's quite warm and sunny. So, it'd be nice if the London Marathon had electrolyte drink mixes on course. Because I think that would have helped, well, save me and maybe some others races out there, and probably I wouldn't have had the hyponatremia that I ended up getting when my blood salt levels are so low. Because really, no matter how much water you drink, that's not going to hydrate me enough. Actually, if anything, that can make things worse when I'm running the marathon, because my blood salt levels are just going to get even lower, or their concentration is going to get even lower. So yeah, if anyone is watching this video who helps organise the London Marathon, just two requests: signposts to get to the championship entries start line when you're having to come from the north side down over from the O2 area, sort of Greenwich, and two, have some electrolyte drink mixes available throughout the course. And one of my friend messages me there was electrolyte drink mixes from Pure Sport actually at the race, but it was at mile 24. So it's like, well, really, why would you have it at mile 24? Like, mile 24 is the worst time you need to have it, because at that point, it's not going to really make any effect. It's going to affect the last 2 miles. Just worst place possible. The worst place it would be if it was at mile 26. Yeah, if that was at like mile 12 or 14, much better. But just having the electrolyte drink mixes available maybe every second bottle station, on the other side of the road, that would just be very nice. All you have to do is drop salt tablets in the water. It would just really help. And even saying that, throughout the race, I was using liquid IV, which does contain hydration bits or salts to it. But it was really hard to get it in the bottles, because you have to unscrew the cap of the sort of nozzle bit, which is quite stiff in itself, which is very hard to do whilst trying to run marathon race pace, first and foremost. And then trying to pour the mix in, well, you lose half of it, at least half of it, and only a small amount goes into the bottles. So it's not ideal. It just helps so much, especially for us masses. It's not much, I don't think, to really ask for, to have electrolyte drink mixes available on the course every second water station. So yeah, that's just something to think about for the future. And hey, Lucozade, if you really want, you can do a salt tablet too, and that would really help too, because I know you sponsor the London Marathon too. Now, also with the London Marathon on Sunday, it was the most number of people who've ever ran a marathon. So for me, I was in a championship entry pen. Didn't really have the issue of contending with too many people, should we say. But from hearing stories from people behind me, kind of the masses and the mass start waves, it's probably too many. I was hearing stories about how people who normally run 4-hour, 4.5 marathon times ran 6 hours at London just because the course was so busy they couldn't actually pass people. Now, that's just sabotaging people's times needlessly there at a race. It's really quite brutal. Now, I know London Marathon for the public is designed to be that awe-inspiring, get up and be active sort of inspiration thing, and that's great. London Marathon should be that. but the course itself doesn't have the capacity to really handle 56,000 plus runners effectively, so that each runner can have a good race, an enjoyable race for their own time. Next time, if I to organise a London Marathon, it's a huge extent in itself, but there needs to be a system in place which also sees runners more on their time they're going to run, and so that needs to really be there and in place for some of these runners, because it's just not fair on people. And the other thing, well, the streets in London, well, let's be honest, the streets in London are the biggest and widest in the world. You know, I've been to America, the streets are a lot wider. San Francisco streets are about twice or 3 times as wide as a lot of these London streets. And yeah, it's just one of those things. Now, I'm all for getting more people into running and doing a thing more, but I'm not in for having so many people that sabotages others' races, because it's a bit like trying to do a busy park run for me. Like, if I'm doing a busy park run on a lapped course, it's very hard for me to run a fast time because I get stuck behind people that I'll be lapping. And imagine having that for 26.2 miles. It's not pleasant. But yeah, overall though, London Marathon has been a really good, positive experience, and I'll definitely be back in future years because I'm so unhappy with that time. I'm more motivated now, if anything, to run a marathon and run a faster marathon, because I know I'm capable of so much better than what I did on Sunday. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about the London Marathon. If you have any questions for me, let me know down in the comments, or you want any sort of information, more information, do let me know. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.